Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to call to order the Dania Beach City Commission. Regular meeting is Tuesday, September 26th at 7 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Grace.
Here.
Commissioner Salvino.
Here.
City Manager Baldwin.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
Can you please join me and bow your heads for a moment of silence? Thank you. Can you please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you have a comment to make, you can fill out this paper right outside and bring it on up here before we get there. Well, we're there. Linda Wilson? Come on down, you're first. Price is right. Like the price is right. No. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Linda Wilson. I'm the president of the Friends of the Dania Beach Library, and I know that you've finished your budget hearings, and I saw on the agenda today that you were going to discuss the charitable donations grant, and that you're looking to restructure it. And I do hope that you will take into consideration all of the things that we have been doing over the years and how much more we have expanded these programs. We have not asked for any more than we have asked for in the past, and I truly hope that you see the outreach efforts that we make, not only through the library, but also through all of the city's different departments, including the CRA, the Parks and Recreation, the Patch, and Chamber of Commerce, and many other things. We are all volunteers. We get zero out of this. We raise at least twice as much as you have awarded us in the past. So if the grant amount is $3,000, we raise at least another $7,000 to match that through our efforts and outreach. And as I said, you're all volunteers, and many of us do these things and reach into our own pockets for it too. So we hope that when it comes to the time that you all look at it, we fill out an application that's very comprehensive. We give you all the details. We tell you every program we've done, how much it costs us, what our income is, what our expenses are. We don't just say, give us the money.
Right.
Okay? So I do hope that you will look at that, and when you consider how you're going to do it, please look at the quality of them. I did bring the October program so that Mayor, you wouldn't mind.
Thank you.
Around. You would see how robust our programs are. We have many more new programs, including a brand new Yoga to the Beatles. So that's going to be twice a month in October. Plus, we do it every week now. We do the art classes for children and adults. We do the patch, as you know. We've been out there. And the next third Saturday of October, which is October 21st, we will be installing the first free little library, which was purchased through the CRA, but we are decorating it and we are stocking it so that we will bring the mountain to Muhammad. If they won't come to us, it's going to be at the patch on the outside of the fence so that it is always accessible. And we will take care of keeping that always in a good manner so that the residents of that area, if they don't have transportation, if they don't have a way to come to the library, we're bringing the library to
I
them.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
That's so
Thank you, Linda.
thoughtful.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Linda McDuffie? Please state your name and address for the record once you get down.
Good afternoon.
Good
My name is
afternoon.
Linda McDuffie. My husband, Homer McDuffie. We live at 120 Northwest 6th Avenue, Dania Beach. And there's a concern in our neighborhood. We have no peace where we live because we have went over to the Sheriff Department, BSO. I spoke with Sergeant Alexander months ago concerning the issue at 2 addresses that's over there. It's always music, loud music. They're out smoking marijuana out in the front. When I told him I wanted to remain anonymous, one of the deputies went over there and told a lady that some lady came over there complaining about them. And something really needs to be done because this goes on every single day. They're selling drugs at the address behind us. We just all around it. And it's pathetic. You know, if you retire, you don't want to walk out your house smelling marijuana all the time, and people just out on the street. You can't hardly drive through in your car, and it's ridiculous. It's an issue that needs to be taken care of. I spoke with Sergeant Alexander the other day, and he told me he would. But they're selling drugs right there and smoking and everything, and it's terrible. And I feel like when I tell them I want to remain anonymous, they shouldn't go and say some lady came over there complaining about them, because that's what happened.
I want to commend you for coming up. I invited her out because I got a few phone calls from her. I've been getting phone calls from a few people, and the first thing that really bothers me is the fact that you want to remain anonymous, and you don't.
Right.
Because that, you know, the police department asks for residents to come and speak up and speak out and tell your concerns. And then when you do that, you don't have the protection.
Right.
I'm not judging one neighborhood from the other. It could be Beverly Hills 90210, and if someone's upset that someone has made a complaint and you have that right to do so and you're not made anonymous, that can mean your life in certain situations. And it's unacceptable because I've also had situations and issues where someone stopped me the other day and said, every day the police come up here and say, the mayor and commissioner want you from off this sidewalk or off this corner. And this is an issue that I have stated over and over again with our BSO and with our city manager, and it's something that I do not want. If the police officer, I'm to the point to where I need officers' names.
Right.
Because if they can't do their jobs and their jobs alone, if they're not brave enough to carry out the law without putting other people's name and safety at risk, they do not need to serve here in Dania Beach. And that is honestly how I feel. And I'm, you know, that we get a lot of calls about that area, regardless if it's how cars are parked, if it's the dogs, if it's the drugs, or what have you. And it is something that I have been very vocal about with the chief. Chief, raise your hand. I want you to introduce, I'm going to have you to go talk to the chief afterwards, or after he finishes his report, so you guys can get a relationship, because I know I aggravate him about this place often. But I just want to thank you for coming and telling your concern. Commissioner Grace?
I'm going to say Utsi because that's what I know you
Yeah, I
by
know,
most,
exactly.
because I went to school with you and your sisters. And so I also received the phone calls. And it is a living condition that nobody wants to live in. We have a lot of seniors in our community, but we also have a lot of renters, and that's what they are, that come in and try to do what they want, and then nobody has to be accountable who is at that house, and that is unacceptable. I'm also the other commissioner that is always called out when I say do this, do that. I say it because I want to keep my community safe. I want to keep my residents safe. And I want to also keep my police officers and my first responders safe. But we have to do it as a TEAM, not dividing one group against the other. And I know that that has been a problem for you for some time now, and you need some relief, as I need some relief, because when I go to bed at 8:30, on the weekend,
Yeah.
I expect to rest until I get
Thank
ready
you.
to go to church on Sunday morning.
Thank you.
And if the now music is going until 10, 11 o'clock, that's not acceptable. And I
Yeah.
don't want any police officers to go over there and tell them, well, you got until 10 o'clock to turn it off, especially if you're on 6, which I know you
Yeah.
are, and I'm on 8, and I
Right.
can hear it at
Hear
my
it.
house. That is a problem.
Yeah.
And it's more of a problem for you because you're right there.
Right there.
It's hard for you to even turn that corner
Right,
to
exactly.
come down your street because they got it all blocked up,
Yeah.
they're having a little party.
Thank you.
So we really need to take care of that, and if, Lynn, if it's not taken care of soon, we will take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it's an issue of, they also have it's a little house dog. This dog acts as though he have mental issues. He's a house dog, but they let him out. This dog comes over in our
The dog has
yard.
mental issues?
Yes, believe me, something wrong with it. In the community, he comes in our yard. My husband told him 3 times, please keep his dog from over there. It's like the dog comes, they let him out, he just bark, come to the front door, just standing there barking. You can hear
And
him.
then we have a leash law, too,
Yes,
so they need to
because
be
I
on a
call
leash.
code enforcement up here, asking questions about that. This dog is out 3 o'clock in the morning, 'cause, I'm still on a schedule with waking up early.
This is one of
3
my
o'clock
cancer
in the morning,
survivors.
this
She don't
dog
need
is
that. She
constantly
doesn't need that.
barking outside. I'm a cancer survivor, and I need, to have my rest and peace. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And this dog, he starts 3 o'clock in the morning. They'll let him out. I guess he barked so much in the house, they released him out. Anybody walking down the road, he chased the lady on the little scooter. He was chasing the lady on the scooter all the way to the corner.
That dog wouldn't have 4 legs.
Something is wrong with him, really. Something
Okay.
is really wrong.
And it's a
but-
bad smell because I actually went over a couple of times when she called me. They're urinating outside because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
They're outside on the
The
lawns
dogs?
and stuff.
No, the humans.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
not acceptable.
And you
Not.
walk out the front door, all you smell
You
is
smell urine.
marijuana. In your
Okay.
face.
Thank you, I appreciate you coming.
So, honey, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public safety reports, Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We actually conducted our midnight shift roll call right across the street from there. Picked all the vehicles out of there. That's one of our problem corridors. That house, we met with the landlord before the hurricane. He signed a trespass affidavit, got the signs, but signs aren't there anymore, which we kind of expect. We spoke with the owner today. We probably had, how many, Sarge? About 7, 8 deputies? And we walked right on the property. It does smell.
I know.
Everyone had beers. It's private property. If those people are invited on there, we can't violate somebody's rights. It's a bad deal. We explained to him, we will be here. If there's a vehicle blocking the sidewalk and we get a call, we will be here. If one of the deputies goes by and sees it, somebody's getting towed or somebody's getting cited. We'll do whatever we can. I actually pulled the stats over the last 6 months at that house because I have noticed the crowd's getting bigger, but once again, we can't violate somebody's rights. The last 6 months at that address, we've responded to 2 disturbances, 4 domestic violence calls, 1 criminal mischief. The other, I believe it was before the last commission meeting, we made a narcotics arrest out there, 4 police service calls, and 1 sexual battery. 6 months, 1 house.
City manager, nuisance abatement, can we do anything? We have to, because I've been in the city long enough to know that there's something that we can do. Nuisance abatement, we confiscate that property, we put it back on the tax
sounds
roll
like
as a
that you could do.
viable property that we build up in new residents. We've done it in the past, and I know that we can do it.
You want to tell her the status of it, or?
Anybody living in it?
Yeah.
Why don't we do that
Who
by
wants to
case?
speak on it?
So, again, we started,
He's got a
about
list right there.
5 or 6 months ago, we began to bring back the nuisance abatement board, and then working with the police and the fire and the county and the state, we felt we had made significant progress with it, like the Smith store. We acquired the Smith store, So we stopped on the nuisance abatement board and didn't do that. But if you want, we can reconvene it. You'd have to appoint the members and start it up again, and we'll use it for these kinds of things. But we just need to bring it back. So I need you to each think of one person you'd like to have on a board, a nuisance abatement board. It already exists in the code. Just has to make an appointment. I'll work with the police chief, and we'll revive it just for this kind of a thing.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Just 2 months ago, didn't Teddy come here and complain there's 14 people living in one house? We didn't buy that house out. What's going on here? What are we going to do? Put dots as to what houses we're going to buy? You just went on that property, you can't do a darn thing. Because now there's that new law also, right? That there's a house, I can go buy a house anywhere, even in the west or the east, and I can open it up to 10 people if I want to, and you can't do a thing about it now. Now, say you don't know about that, because we do know about that. It's called Safe Homes. Is that the name for it?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay, well then let's go back to Teddy. Teddy came here and stood here and begged for help, that there's a home where there's 14 people living in it.
Sure did.
And it's owned, and we know the name of the man. Did we do anything? Can we do anything? The answer is no.
No, we can with nuisance abatement. You can come back.
You don't even have the right to go knock on their door unless you're invited. And that's another thing where the law gets a little bit funny, but I understand what you're saying. You can't go on somebody's property. Now, let's take the noise that young lady was saying back there. I was told that if it's before 10 o'clock, there's nothing that we can do about it. Is that true or false?
That's not true. We can have them lower it.
You can have them lower, but you can't stop it.
Right.
Okay, there's mixes in laws that you
Well,
got to
if
be
it-
careful for.
There's some gray areas in wording that, in either ordinances or state law, that it's up to interpretation. But if something is bothering you at your home, you have a right to feel safe and comfortable in your own home.
Home is the castle rule. Right. Well, I'm just saying this isn't the only house where there's a problem. And I don't see that we did
I don't think
anything
we're
for
gonna
that
disagree with you
14
on that.
people living in a one house.
No, we've chased these different things around. One will pop up, and then we'll do something about it. Smith's is the one that we were able to get, but
Yeah,
we
we got
we
that.
can't, obviously can't acquire every property that...
No, my
There's
point.
But I think there is a difference here, because he's made a rush on this particular property, and I don't think you did over in the one over in...
Not that one, but
Let's
once
go
again,
ahead.
if we receive calls for service, if there's a suspicious person out there, call us, give us a description. You want to remain anonymous, you remain anonymous.
Well, that's not happening. We're not remaining anonymous. No, this lady just said that they telling her that she's the one that's telling, like.
Not by
I
name.
assure you, they didn't give
They
her
didn't give her
name,
name.
which is
They're not-
anonymous. If somebody,
They gave my
If
name.
somebody-
They gave Miss Grace's name. You know why? Because my uncle gave my name, my auntie gave my name, my cousin
And-
gave my name. Everybody ain't lying.
and every time we arrest somebody over there, and they say, the mayor this, the mayor that, I'm going to go talk to him. Go
No.
talk to him, come to a meeting, come to a meeting, come here tonight. I invite every last one of them, and I'm out there on a lot of arrests, because I want them to understand what they're doing is wrong, and it's not going to be tolerated anymore. So they can say they're going to go meet with whoever they want. I welcome it.
Well, I welcome them to come meet with me as well. That's not the issue. Commissioner Salvino?
I just was curious on the abatement situation, Tom, that why do we have to have the board in effect I mean, I know that with some of the rules on that was that after so many times there were so many complaints made that it becomes a nuisance, and at that point, why do we have to acquire it financially when we, the abatement, if there's so many fines occurred on it, that it could be taken without a price?
The way that board, it's a creature of state law. We created it about 15 years ago when they were very popular, and it been many, many times. But it's only good for a limited use. You have to prove that 2 drug arrests have happened within a period of 6 months, or 2 acts of prostitution have happened within a period of 6 months, 2 acts of selling stolen property. So it's very limited. What we might need to do, and I actually have another case I'm working on, I will try to meet with the code compliance staff and try to see if we can take a case to the Code Compliance Board, the magistrate rather, as a nuisance. We have an ordinance on nuisances, and we just looked into it today, so maybe this house would qualify for something. We can work with the police, work up a case, and bring it to the Code Magistrate. So that you have a landlord, it'll start to get them in the pocketbook.
That will be the route
Yeah,
that I was
I-
wondering.
all these
That's much
I mean, we
faster.
have
All these
more
houses we're
action.
having a problem with, that's the route we need to start
Thank you.
taking.
That's much faster, so I will work on a remedy for that.
When I met with the landlord, he was cooperative, and I told him that ultimately it falls on your back.
He doesn't live in our neighborhood. He's at peace at his house.
Like the other
So
guy.
we want to have peace at our houses, too.
So I'll work with you, Chief, on that. I have a meeting set up for next week. We'll just roll it into this property as well. I have another property, same issue.
Perfect.
And we'll start.
And in the meantime, we'll be over there. We'll hold roll call there a couple times a week and make it a little uncomfortable.
Thank you.
Set it on that?
Yes.
All right. We identified a suspect in the recent vehicle burglaries that happened on the east side of town before the storm came. We're in the process of getting a warrant, and we should have the suspect in custody by Thursday. BSO and Collins Elementary will be participating in the Walk to School event on October 4th. I'm not sure on the time. Vice Mayor, I think you're involved with that somehow? Do you know what time, any chance? I'll find out and let everybody know. Friday night, we participated in a multi-agency gang task force operation. Our CST detectives and District Criminal Investigations Unit set up surveillance on 2 homicide suspects, and they were both apprehended with the firearms used. There was a crime that occurred out of West Park. The other night, we responded to a report of 2 subjects breaking into an apartment over at the right off of Sheridan, the Ocean Club. And an alert citizen saw suspicious people going in and out of the buildings. Our midnight shift deputies responded. The suspects took off. Another deputy caught both of them, kept them on scene. The witness was brought over for a show-up, positively identified them. Back at the scene where the deputy initially saw them take off running, there was a bag, bolt cutters, a broken lock, and his identification. So the suspect kind of set it up for us, but one of the suspects was an identified gang member, and he's got a no bond warrant, so he's still locked up. That concludes my report.
That's good.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, City Staff, Sean Brown, Broward Sheriff's Office Fire Rescue. I just have a couple of items to report on this evening. First and foremost, the Sound the Alarm campaign that I've been talking about with the American Red Cross that was scheduled to happen October 14th has been postponed. They have their hands full due to being overwhelmed with the efforts from the 3 storms that have kind of hit the southeast U.S. So they're pretty heavily tied up, and they're going to postpone it until they believe March of 2018. So as I get more information and updates on that, I'll bring it forward. I guess probably, I'm guessing everybody's pretty much aware of the issue that Hollywood had with their ALF and the deaths that occurred with that post-storm. So I just want to kind of give you an update on what we did in the city of Dania Beach with our ALFs. We did wellness checks on all of them. We had 8 of them that we have knowledge of with the fire department. One of them had no patients, hadn't actually been opened up yet. One was actually evacuated prior to our arrival. Most of the time, these ALFs are required to have mutual aid agreements with other facilities so that they can evacuate to those locations in the event of emergencies like this where they lose power. 4 of them had full power from FP&L with full staff. 2 of them were on generator power, portable generators. One of which the environment was fair. The other environment was manageable but may not have been the most comfortable. So either way around, either way you look at it, everybody was in good shape with the checks that we did. As a result, on the 16th of September, Governor Rick Scott enacted an emergency action to force all ALF and nursing homes to have generators. The understanding that I have is that they have 60 days from September 16th to have them installed. Presents questions from us as far as how are they going to get permits in that amount of time, how are they going to get them installed, how are they going to get the contractors. So there's some questions that are still out there that we're trying to figure out answers for. So as we find them out, I'll kind of keep you posted on that. The generators that they're required to have are not necessarily, they don't necessarily have to be permanently installed generators. They can be portable generators as long as they are attached and as long as they stay on the property and have enough fuel to fuel them for 96 hours. And as long as whatever mechanism they have in place to provide the standby power provides at least 96 hours with a temperature, I believe it's 80 degrees or less is what they're required to have. So that's something that just came down from Governor Rick Scott on the 16th. That will be.
I have a question about that. I know I've also been receiving a lot of emails and been in correspondence with this information, with this topic, because it's actually up for discussion. But since we're dealing with it, I know I read that they could at least have applications because of the time, because of the time that it's going to take to do all this stuff. I know that it's not a lot of time that he's given, but they said if you at least had an application, that it would be able to buy you a certain amount of time?
The order, the ruling that came down, I believe, gives them 40 to 45 days to actually submit a plan.
Right.
And within that plan, it has, the game plan of, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, the time frame they're planning to do it, and that type of action
Right.
plan, basically.
So it wouldn't just be like the 60 days. Like they have the 45 days to submit a plan.
That's what the order said, but the actual order, let me see if I'll actually read you the verbiage from it because it was a little
I have
confusing to
something
most of
here.
us.
And it's lawyer talk. It's not.
Hang on one second here, where was it? Pursuant to the emergency action, within the next 60 days, all assisted living facilities and nursing homes must obtain ample resources, including a generator and the appropriate amount of fuel to sustain operations and maintain comfortable temperatures for at least 96 hours following a power outage. Now, that was the emergency order from Governor Rick Scott's office. Now, since then, I've also received the actual, probably what you're looking at.
The notice of emergency rule? It's just the procedures regarding emergency environmental control for assisted living facilities.
Hang on one second here.
And then a nursing home emergency power plan that I have here as well.
Yeah, procedures regarding emergency environmental control for assisted living facilities. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. So, and in that, it does spell out a little bit more clearly about the 45 days that they have to obtain, but there's still a little bit of confusion between what the governor actually sent out to us through all the emails and what that says, so we're trying to get clarification, which is hopefully coming down the pike pretty soon.
Okay. I mean, okay, it just takes it off of my discussion because if the governor mandates it, then we automatically have to adopt it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Those were really the only two that I had to report on this evening. Anybody have any questions for me?
No?
No?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You too. Yes, you're so nice. The consent agenda, do we have any pulls?
7.9.
And I'm pulling 7.1.
Motion to approve with the exception of 7.1, 7.9.
No, I'm sorry, 7.3.
Remove 7.1?
Yes.
7.3?
Yes.
Motion to approve with the exception of 7.3, 7.9.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No, okay.
Which one we go first? What do you got?
7.3? We did the motion,
did.
second, and aye.
Wake up, Tom.
All right, 7.3, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper city officials to execute a development agreement and any additional documents pertaining to the agreement and to take all actions necessary to implement the terms and conditions of the agreement with Dania Beach Hospitality Group, LLC, related to the development of the Wyndham Garden Hotel, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
I pulled this not because I have anything, I don't have any questions for the applicant themselves or the contractors, but I pulled this just in the wake of Irma because we do need to have a discussion about hotels and backup generators as well. We had a lot of business that was lost because we had hotels that were without power for 11 days. I had the luxury to stay in a hotel that was on the 6th floor with no AC, with no power. Someone was stuck in the elevator for 2 hours. These is, with all the hotels that we are building, we need to build for the future. We are in hurricane capital, and we need to be prepared. So as we're building these hotels, I don't know if we can go back and give the existing hotels a certain amount of time to get backup generators, but this is something that between hotels, gas stations, and the assisted living facilities, you know, the supermarkets are smart enough to have the generators because they want business the next day and throughout the storm. And so this is just something, this is why I pulled this discussion item, not specifically for the Wyndham Garden Hotel. So I don't know how everyone else feels, but it's a discussion that needs to be had and something that we need to look into.
Agreed.
Commissioner Salvino?
Mayor, I agree with you. I think the gas stations in the grocery stores are already under that that type of thing, and I think that seeing that people do lose their houses, electric on their houses, I think it would. I don't know how hard it would be, but I think we should talk to the community development department about what they could implement in the plans that can be included as far as that goes. I think it would have been a lot of people happy if the hotels would have had backup power. So I would like to further discuss that with the commission.
Okay. Everyone else, yes? Okay, so this is something that I can come in and talk to, but that was it. Do we have a motion to
Move
approve
the
it?
item.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Randamart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
7.9, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper city officials to execute an agreement with the Hinterland Group, Inc. for the purchase of parts and labor for lift station repairs at lift stations 5, 7, and 10 for the Public Services Department by utilizing available pricing under the Palm Beach County, Florida Lift Station WD 14-047 contract without competitive bidding and without advertising for bids in an amount not to exceed $1,137,593.85, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Mr. Brad King, you're up.
This item is for the rehabilitation of 3 lift stations, 5, 7, and 10, and for location purposes. Lift Station 5 is by Meadowbrook, Lift Station 7 is by C.W. Thomas Park, and Lift Station 10 is by the Dakota Design Center on Griffin out west. These 3 lift stations are just in need of a lot of work, and they're our most critical ones we have right now, and that's why we're bringing this item and piggybacking off of a bid from Palm Beach County with the Hinterland Group, which is a company that's very well experienced in doing lift station rehabilitation. So this will help us significantly improve our service to residents by making these repairs on all 3 lift stations.
We didn't have to do 3 bids or anything? Or
No,
we're
this
good?
is a competitively bid
Okay.
contract done by Palm Beach County that is currently
Okay.
being used.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
No other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to...
Second.
Commissioner Brandamart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action.
10.1 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, pertaining to compensation for the mayor and city commissioners, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Is that city manager?
Mayor and Commissioners, the commission had asked that we budget the funds for a increase in base salary. The commission, we looked into it, hasn't had a base salary adjustment for over 10 years. We're not even sure when the last time the commission had one. You do receive a periodic cost of living adjustments, but you have not had any, the commissions have not had any kind of salary, base salary adjustments. So we did a survey, used the what's the name of it, Colin? Pepe. And we've given you that information. You can see the 20, 30,000 pay range is pretty common with cities, and so we're looking for your direction where you would like to set it for for the commission and for the mayor. Then we'll plug it into the reso for approval.
I need to get my book out. See.
Again, we budgeted the money for next year. It's
I
just a
mean,
matter of-
we budgeted the money and we approved the budget, so I think we talked about the amount.
I'm not sure the commission as a whole has discussed the amount, but, we've budgeted sufficient funds so that, you can increase
I
it.
mean, it was
This will
no,
be just salary, no
No.
allotments, just salary?
just salary.
The base
Five.
salary.
Yes.
5.
Any other discussion?
That's it?
Okay, well, you need possible action, do we
We
have a
need
motion?
the- we need the dollar amounts. I
What
think.
dollar amount?
I did, I said 5.
So you want to increase it by 5,000
Yes.
over what it currently is for the commission and the mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what the resolution, when you adopt the resolution, that's what it will provide.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Hold on, this is do we have public comment?
No.
No? Rylan, you have, no? Okay.
He's just playing, leave him alone.
Call the roll, please.
He went. Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
The second discussion item I have on here is about the Stella Homes and Tropical Acres Agreement.
Yeah.
That's something that is concerning me. I don't know if you all got the email,
Yeah.
but I did, and I would like to know where we stand on that and how we are proceeding forward and making sure that, I'm hearing something
I
different
don't
now
think
from
we're moving
DOT.
forward. I don't think it's going forward.
Oh, come on down. I didn't even see you back there. How you doing?
I'd rather hear it right from him. You're right. Horse's mouth. You're right.
I didn't see him.
Mayor.
I apologize. How you
You're
doing?
right.
Hi, I'm Jack Studiali, owner of Tropical Acres Steakhouse. And, excuse me, I sent that email to all of you. I thought it was prudent because this has been going back since March, and I'm sure you haven't been abreast of everything that's been going on.
No, we haven't.
But between Stellar Homes and myself, we've been talking, meeting, and had agreements back and forth. And I kind of chronologically itemized everything that happened, because I don't want to go over it now. But just yesterday, Larry Baum, the owner, called me and said DOT will not make any changes to the intersection. So it's pretty much over. There's 3 serious code violations if they accept the, and are you familiar with the plan that they presented to DOT? Yeah, I'm not, I didn't see it. I didn't have the privilege of seeing it, but in order to make it 2 lanes, they had to alter the intersection at Griffin Road,
Right.
26th.
Right.
And there were 3 code violations which they could not accept. 3 changes. So Larry called me yesterday and said it's pretty much a done deal. It's finished. So now
You're part of
you know
this.
as much as I know.
Yeah.
When he says code violations, what he's referring to, well, to clarify, it's there was a meeting, and Mark LaFerrier will explain it, but the FDOT, a variance was needed. Mark is going to explain to you why they can't grant the variance because of a property that's immediately adjacent to the road. I think there's pictures, if we have them, and detail.
Mark LaFerrier, Community Development Director. The intersection of 26th Street and Griffin Road is the jurisdiction of Broward County and the DOT. And widening the road gets a lot more complicated when you have to get other agencies to approve your design. basically what happened is that when you when you widen the road, you begin to affect the neighbor to the east of Tropical Acres. And in order to make that property comply with the DOT standards, there would have to be other variances that the DOT would have to approve. They would violate their standards. I think what Jack was saying, violated their code, meaning their engineering standards. And the DOT just felt it was an unsafe situation, the new redesign. And also, the other part of it is to even get to the point that the DOT would consider a variance request, the property owner to the east would have to lose about half its parking in the front of the building and lose an access point. So we were hoping that the DOT be a little more receptive and be a little more flexible with their standards. I actually attended the DOT hearing and I made a presentation. And, the DOT was receptive and tried to work out a solution, but, it's just something that they weren't willing to support at the end.
Go ahead.
Stellar Homes can still build?
Yeah, the commission's approval for the Stellar Home site plan had a condition that stated, and I'm paraphrasing now, of course, that Mr. Studiali and Stellar Homes would try and negotiate in good faith a design that would be equitable to both and that would be implemented by Tropical Acres if it could be approved by the different agencies.
I'm confused. Hold on. I'm confused because at the end of that is a sentence that was not stated at that commission meeting, and you can replay it a million times. I know for sure at the end of that sentence it says, and if we don't, I'm paraphrasing, come to an agreement, they can still build. That was not the direction that I supported. And I can assure you that's not the direction that the majority of us supported. That building was dependent upon that agreement, to my understanding. Now, whoever put that other little sentence in there that I just heard about a few months ago, or when I saw it and I said, I even said to you, like, that's not what I said. You can go back to the minutes, you can read it. I'm really confused because now I feel like we've been bamboozled. I need to know our options. Yes, Commissioner.
So, what it amounts to is, he gets screwed, and they still build their homes.
It's our residents that get screwed.
Yeah, right. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, you remain.
Remain the way I was.
Yes, the residents.
I know it. That's what I'm saying, because at least before, when they needed some of your property, when we all agreed to Stellar Homes, now I'm confused, because I agree with what she said, because, what the mayor said, because I don't remember that either. Was it in there? A city attorney?
Yes, there's a provision that said that they will work to the best of their capacity, which they did, by the way. They're telling you that they've met, you're pointing out that they did, right, Jack? That they've done that.
Me and my manager have 100 hours, then I've got the attorney.
We're talking about the last sentence.
So, again, the last sentence says that if they cannot, they're prevented from widening the road, the project can still be built.
Yeah.
The former project that was there and approved many years ago was approved without even the road being considered at that time. So I think Mr. Wary can tell you whether or not you can compel, I don't think you can legally, to make somebody do an off-site improvement that they can't do. They just can't do it. They're prohibited by state law from widening a road. So to tell them they can't build their project because they're not allowed to do it by the state is problematic.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is my vote, and I can rescind my support for it.
That's the word. That's the word.
Because my vote was, it had a condition that if and when, not they will see, but if and when they come to an agreement, it was upon that. That's my yes vote. That's how my yes vote read. I don't know how nobody else read yes vote read, but I know I'm not that. I know I can remember well. I can remember very well. And so if that's it, I rescind my vote. Because we were here to serve the residents. We had a lot of residents that came here, and that is the reason we even brought Mr. Studiali and Tropical Acres into the equation.
Exactly.
Was because the concern about that road. It wasn't necessarily about doing the improvements to his property, but that was an option that made the residents happy.
A partnership with the.
And so,
that was
if
my
that's
suggestion
what it is,
of
I
his
rescind my
time.
vote.
Said he had to be happy with the outcome of it. Yeah.
So,
Happy with the outcome of it?
his property doesn't get touched. He's unaffected. Who's affected are the residents. That's who's going to be affected. Like, they're not going to touch his property, but the residents who came here, and that's what we voted on and told them. Now, so I'm rescinding my support for it, or my vote. I don't know. How do I do that? Do I just say it?
You're stating it, and I understand that, but I'm not sure legally you can do it, is what I'm trying to warn you. I think Mr. LaFerrier said to you, there was a provision in the resolution that ultimately says if this agreement is not finalized, or if the applicant cannot receive the required permits, the improvements to Southwest 25th Avenue and the improvements to the restaurant parking lot will not be required.
Was that stated here?
That was adopted in the resolution. I don't know if it was articulated at the meeting.
That's what I need.
I don't remember that. I think it was.
Steve and I are standing here, neither of us were at the commission meetings. I did go back and look at the minutes. The statement that was read by the city attorney was in the staff report, it was in the resolution, it wasn't read at the meeting.
You looked at the meeting too, right?
Yeah, it wasn't read at the meeting.
Okay.
But it was explained in general terms. That's what I saw when I looked at the minutes.
No, when you looked at the meeting, did you feel that this commission understood that if they did not come to an agreement, we still were voting yes? Because I can tell you my vote would have been an absolute no at that meeting.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to comment on that. I did watch the tape, and I did look back at the resolution, and I did look back at the staff report. The staff report and the resolution both included that language precisely. And when I looked at the tape, Corinne did describe that arrangement that was being worked out with Tropical Acres and the developer, but that specific language that was in the reso and in the staff report wasn't put on the screen in front of me.
Okay.
And sometimes, most of the time we'll do that sort of thing. It didn't happen this time.
That's the controversial part. If we're sitting here saying that my vote is dependent on that, and then not to explain that last sentence, that's something that should never be omitted, if you know that would change the direction that, possibly this commission is going in.
If I could only comment for just a minute, this is a really tough situation for the developer and for Mr. Studiali, in that someone that's a developer really can't be responsible for someone else's decision. They can only be in control of their own responsibility and regulations. There are roadway projects that don't get built, or they get completely redesigned because the agencies aren't willing to go ahead and purchase land or condemn land. If we could have gotten a design that the DOT would have wanted, I'm pretty confident that, from what I've heard from the applicant, that they would have built this roadway. And that's what we all would have liked, but sometimes things are out of our control. And that's why the resolution and the staff report was written with language like that, because we really couldn't have required them to build a roadway for their project that can't be built if it can't be approved.
That's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand
No,
is
what I'm
that would
saying,
not
though, is
have
we
been.
would have brought the project to you. You might have voted against it.
That's my problem.
Yeah, you might have voted against it, but we could not have prevented the project from coming forward, and we wouldn't have been able to recommend denial for that reason.
No, that's fine, but we still would have that option with everything laid out in front of us. We would have had that option to vote yes or no, and we didn't have that, and that definitely changes. Legally, what can I do? I don't want to go in circles.
Well, before we get into, maybe we should let Mr. Wary speak for his client. Again, this is something that happened, how many months ago? A couple months ago. If it came to you, Mayor and Commissioners, that they did not come to an agreement, it'd be a different story. You now have a third party that you cannot control and cannot make them do it. If you look at the pictures, I understand why. You can't take somebody else's property. Basically, eminent domain. You could do eminent domain if you want. It's going to cost. It could cost you $500,000 to take part of this other fellow's building to widen the road. But again, ultimately, what you are tonight is they're denied, both of them, Mr. Studiali and the applicant, by another agency that says, for safety purposes, they cannot allow this to happen. We're just in a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's accurate. And I hear what you're saying, Mayor. One thing I can say in terms of this actual project is just to remind the commission that, you know, what we proposed and what was approved was really a conversion to an already approved project, improving it in many ways in terms of, you know, going from a certain number of townhomes to the identical number of single-family homes, which is lower in intensity in terms of, you know, sewer connections and things like that. I can also tell you that, you know, I spoke with Larry Baum today, and he tells me that the market reception that he's getting for the development generally is very positive, that he's getting a lot of people who live, for example, in Weston and places like that, very interested in coming to Dania Beach and moving here and becoming new residents. So, I mean, these are all positives, and I understand that this is a disappointment. We're disappointed too, and we've tried, you know, very hard with FDOT, but, you know, basically, you know, their resistance and I guess, position that they've taken in terms of not being willing to approve the widening of this road is really because of the danger that's created by that immediate drive access on the east side of 25th Avenue, which is an existing, you know, small shopping, you know, commercial plaza there. And, you know, obviously I know we don't want to, you know, affect in a negative way those businesses that are there, and so we're just limited in what we can do, but we've tried very hard.
No, listen, I'm not against the project itself. I do think it is a positive project. That's why I voted for it in the first place. I am upset because it's not about the people that want to come to Dania Beach. It's about the people that's already here. It's about the people that came to these commission meetings, that stood where you're standing, that voiced their concerns, and that we said we were going to do everything we could to fight for them to come to an agreement together. And I feel like all of these presentations that's put up here and all this verbiage and this language that's up there, to omit that part that it was approved, but it wasn't approved while I was here. I still had a voice to say yay or nay, and then maybe they could have went back to the other one. But, you know, to not have all the facts is very disappointing for me in the city, period. So, I don't know. I guess it's nothing else that we can do.
If I may.
Yes.
I got some feedback from.
You can come to the mic.
I got some feedback from the neighbors.
In the mic, on the mic, for the people at home.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got feedback from the neighbors, and quite a few, that did not want me to cooperate with the Stellar Homes. They did not want the road widened. I took that into consideration, but some liked it the way it was. But, so as many as those that, so there are some people that wanted to leave it just the way it is. You mentioned residents.
Yeah, I'm only speaking about the people that came here, obviously, those,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
I
some
got
of them
you.
were at this meeting. At the meeting, they said, don't do it, don't do it, leave it the way it is. Of course, they were also upset about the trees going, but the trees was in agriculture with termites.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay.
Well, again, it's a development that has been approved. They're now frustrated by another agency that they cannot give you the roadway widening that you want. So my recollection from doing this for a long period of time is that the court is not going to say that they can't build their development when they can't even get the road widening from FDOT. There's a possibility, I think it's very, very remote, of an appeal. Like we talked about this, Mark, you think it's highly unlikely, but there is a possible FDOT appeal. You just said it's most of the same people that looked at it. I think the commission would want you to exhaust that possibility and go back and see if there's any way to persuade them. Maybe work with the property owner to the east to see if there's some way to give a variance for the parking to be reduced, and then give a credit for spaces that are lost. Perhaps to continue to try to work an arrangement that makes it more accessible before it's precluded. But again, if FDOT does not do this, none of us can make them do it.
Right.
It is a safety thing. If you look, you see the pictures, you can see how close the building is
Right.
to the road. That's the problem. It's not for me. Thank God Mr. Studiali worked with him. He was very patient with them. Steve Wary worked with them. They came to an agreement. They were ready to do it. And that was your direction to do it. But now they can't, if they can't do it by, it's almost like an act of God. And you can't state of Florida is not quite the act of God, but you can't, it's beyond your control. It's beyond their control. That's the problem.
We can appeal it.
There's a way to go to FDOT and appeal the decision from the other day. Mr. LaFerrier points out to me that a number of the people who made that decision will be the same people that hear the appeal, but there may be a couple new people to it. I'm not sure you could persuade them, but it doesn't mean we couldn't try.
Is it a different design that, because I think I heard someone say, I don't know who, but there are some designs that you think that they would like?
Well, there are different intersection configurations that, could be considered, but the denial has really hinged on the fact that there's that driveway access that's right on Griffin Road. And so, you can make tweaks to the design, the intersection configuration. That's not going to change that fact.
Okay.
That's a fact on land. And the process, there is a process that we could go through. It's a variance process with DOT. And DOT variances are very, very infrequently given. I mean, we'd be happy to go through it, I can tell you, but the last thing I would want to do is give any sense of optimism that there is a degree of likelihood that that's going to be a different result than what we have, at the moment.
I got you.
But certainly we can do that because, as, we have so far, and Mr. Studiali as well, we want to do what we can to uphold, the idea behind the approval, including widening of 25th Avenue. And if that means, we take it through this additional process, certainly we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
You need a motion for that?
So we leave it at that?
Again, they've offered to try to go back, and I've spoken to Mark. He's not going to promise to you, but he offered to me that he would try with Mr. Wary and with Mr. Studiali's cooperation. If they can get that, they will come back and get what you would like to have, which is an improved access. Ultimately, it's got to be safe. It's a road that's very busy there, very fast there, as you know, and I think that was the concern that was expressed to me, that the traffic safety is paramount, and they just can't waver from that. But we can try.
Vice Mayor?
I mean, I see all sides of this. I mean, I see for Jack, because, you have like a lot of potential new customers within walking distance of your restaurant, which I think is a good thing as a business owner. And I feel for, Mr. Baum, because I think the kind of development that he's looking for is what we need to attract in Dania Beach, which is single-family home owners, to increase our density and basically to, stimulate our thriving economy. So I see all sides of this, and I think that if we do the appeal and the people that hear the appeal aren't the same ones that denied it in the first place, I think that maybe we should do that. Because, there's a shortage in Broward County of single-family homes. I mean, we hear this all the time through the League of Cities and through the MPO. So if we can, maybe, how many are they going to build there, Steve? 36? How many homes? So, maybe we can decrease the density just a little and, kind of come to a compromise, because, what do you think? I mean, Jack,
Changing the project?
well, it's all negotiable.
It's already approved. You can't go change, he can't go and change the project that's already.
Well, if they did something less than what you approve, I don't know if it would come back for a modification.
Modification or variance?
Any kind of reduction in the number of units, that's not going to have any bearing whatsoever on DOT's analysis, because it's not based at all on our use. It's based exclusively on the uses on the land right now, the existing uses and the configuration of driveways in relation to Griffin and Southwest 25th Avenue. So we're almost, not even part of the consideration in that sense.
All right. And the last one, as far as Governor Rick Scott's proposal, for the rule changes for the ALFs, we've already heard from Sean Brown, so we don't have to go over it again. I mean, if the governor's going to mandate it, we don't need to speak about it as a city. So that's that. And donation policy.
Thank you, Mayor. Colin, would you like to say something? This essentially is a policy we have. We've discussed it with the commission, but we'd ask that the commission make the decision, or somebody other than staff. So we're proposing either you assign it to an advisory board or the commission actually make the decision. And Mr. Donnelly can fill you in on the details.
Colin Donnelly, Assistant City Manager. Speaking from Mr. Baldwin's memo. The current donation policy, as Mr. Baldwin stated, had staff doing a review and reviewing applications, donation requests, making a recommendation to the city manager, and him approving them and not going back to the city commission. So what the revised policy states is that, in basic, that, the decisions on the approval will be coming from the city commission, and that you appoint one of the existing boards, if you would like, to do a first pass on the donation requests, and then make a recommendation to you, and then you can hold a type of hearing and a meeting and hear from the applicants. That's it in a nutshell. And as you can see in the backup, we typically budget $30,000 for donations, and the donation requests usually triple or quadruple that, what available funding is. So the donation committee, has a lot of decisions to make, and one reason why I think it's important that it go back to the city commission is that any granting agency will put out a request for people to apply for their grant, and that's to do something very specific, build a road, run a program. What you have here is all these community organizations applying to the city commission to do a lot of different things. And from a political standpoint, it's really a political decision than a policy decision, because we're in a tough position to determine what's a worthy thing to do. All these organizations do different things, and they're all really worthy of funding, and probably no one better than the other one, because it depends on what you really want to do. And ultimately, that's a political decision. So I think it's more than proper that you have one of your politically appointed boards do a first pass on this, and ultimately go back to the commission, because you know what your residents want and need. Whereas staff, we're not judging apples to apples. It's every type of fruit and a vegetable that we have to consider, and one group is really no more worthy than another one. So it's a tough decision.
For clarification, when you say you want us to appoint a board and then have them do it, or just pick one of the boards we already have?
You could pick one of the
I would
boards.
suggest one you already have that's already commissioned. Currently, the way the policy is right now, someone from the rec board and somebody from the marina board sits with staff. So either one of those boards, at least those chairmen, are familiar with the process, or maybe revive the grant advisory board. They're familiar with granting agencies and grants in general, so that may be more appropriate.
Commissioner Grace.
It all sounds good, Colin, but what I was most disappointed in when Hurricane Irma was in here,
That's right.
that 4 of these people that we give monies to did not even reach out to the city of Dania Beach, especially for our seniors, for the hot meals that they needed. I can tell you that I know 3 of us up here took personal monies and bought dinners and delivered them to our seniors. Water, took ice, when we're giving them $17,000 and we didn't even receive a phone call. You understand? Yet they're supposed to be doing stuff for Dania Beach because we're giving them this money. And the other thing is that the hurricane has been gone for a couple of weeks. Still have not heard from him. Do you need anything? Can we help you with something? What can we do for you? But every year they come to us asking us for money. Now, I love Linda and her organization because I know what the Friends of the Library do for this city. They do a fantastic job. They are everywhere. I don't care whether it's the Arts and Seafood Festival, whether it's at the Patch, whether it's there that they're doing the programs for the children and for the adults. They are worthy to be on this list. And we give them a little bit of money, and they do a hell of a lot of stuff in this city. So I'm going to tell you, I don't care what committee or what board you give it to, when it comes back, some of these numbers are going to be cut, and they're going to be cut drastically, and give it to the people that are doing something for the Dania Beach residents.
right.
It's all about Dania Beach. That's who it's about.
Mayor, and
And one more thing before we go, because it's not in this charitable organization, but it's in Parks and Recreation, the MLK, I need that budget cut in half. I looked at my last year of me being the president and director of the MLK, which was on 2003, and I'm going to bring the program, and I'm going to ask the mayor to read the letter, because when people get up here and they insinuate and tell lies, it bothers me, because if I make a mistake, I'm big enough to tell you that I made a mistake, okay? And I was wrong about what I said. But I was going through all of my stuff, and I pulled out that last program that we had under the Dania Activity Committee, where the young lady had us put it in the program how she was going to lose her funding until our organization picked it up and carried her for 4 years, and she graduated. So when you come up here and personalities, I don't care whether you like me or not like me. That's not why I was elected. I was elected to serve the residents of Dania Beach, good, bad, and indifferent. And I strongly think that I have not done a bad job. I really, truly believe that. I don't do everything that you want me to do, but I do those things that I think that are positive for Dania Beach. I don't want any accolades for Bobby H. Grace, because I'm going to get mine. It's not going to be from anybody down here. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not going to happen. But I want that cut, and I want, when we go through this list, some of these people on here, I don't think we should be doing it. These are my sentiments exactly.
Mayor, an option may be, rather than send it to an advisory board, the people could come forward and have a presentation at a special meeting of the commission, and each one of them come and ask for what they want. That's the way we did it at Lauderdale by the Sea, but I think...
Like my fellow commissioner said, I don't want to embarrass anyone. I think that what we do it, we'll you know,
We should have a workshop.
Parks and Recreation, they make the list, bring it back to us, we cut the list and let it go. That's it.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
I feel we should give it to an advisory board, like the one you suggested, the grant advisory board.
Oh, we don't have.
I really do, and then we make the final decisions and let them present it. But I'm
don't
glad
have
that
a grant
Commissioner
advisory.
Grace felt like I did on that. I don't want a person coming up here begging for money and I'm going to say no, because I'm not going to say no.
There's no one on our grant advisory board.
We don't have it.
We would have to reconstitute it.
It can do that. You can
Okay.
do that, but that's the lesser of the two evils as far as I'm concerned. Each one of us would get a chance to put someone on that board, right?
That's very true.
And if I could, just
Oh, yeah, that's
other
right.
other elements of the policy that haven't changed, the ones we operated on, programs like the Bears, the Optimists that are sports-related,
Uh-huh.
get funded for your regular budget, and programs that work hand in glove with the Recreation Department are funded through Recreation Department. That's why the MLK is not listed in here, or the Bears, or those organizations, in case you're wondering. In addition, part of the policy is that the commission will not entertain requests for funding outside the donation, charitable donation policy. So if somebody comes up here in mid-July looking for funding, you know, the response is, you need to go to the board. That way you're not bombarded with continual requests.
And they have done that during a commission meeting. And we would say to them, this isn't the place that, they'll stand there and
That's
ask you
right.
for the
Right.
money. And we've said, this is not the place you do that, and it's not.
Right, and the
Right.
commission stood by that support.
Sure we did, because otherwise, we'd have a long line,
Is there direction?
very long.
I mean, just to touch on, I know this is not on that same board, but I've yet to receive, what is the policy when you, I should know what it is because I submit mine every year, but I believe that we have to submit a budget in that application. It's a lot of paperwork that we have to submit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now,
Well,
it's-
it depends on, really depends on the organization.
Yeah.
That's applying and how much they pencil.
okay, that's fine. Now, as far as the things that we have budgeted, like the Dania Bears and MLK, things like that, how do you keep track of the funds that are given to them?
Well, one way that we've changed it a number of years ago, and Mr. Baldwin, correct me if I'm based on here, is that we make the donation as a donation directly to them,
So you don't keep track of any of the funds?
No, it's not, the other way to work it
Well-
is that they would submit payment for
I
it.
think the seniors submit invoices to Parks and Recreation.
Well, that's
The
what
MLK
That's the- So the seniors submit,
Here's the way it goes, Mayor. We're
okay.
allotted, we're under Parks and Recreation. When we have an event, it's dealt with right through the city. Every 3 months, you're darn right. When you give an organization with the money, you're going to have a hard time figuring out where it went.
Yeah.
This
Hello.
way, all I got to do is turn around and say to the girl that works under Mark Felicity, and he's been wonderful at this, every 3 months, she'll say, all right, now this is how much you got left, so that you know, like your house, what you're budgeted for.
and you submit your receipts?
Absolutely.
Okay, now I'll say that
I don't have to really give it because it's the city that pays it. I don't touch a penny of it.
I'm sorry, the appropriations for the senior are made, the appropriations are made by Mark, or you make the appropriation. Mark, he issues the purchase orders, and so no cash goes to the senior.
None.
Just services. And so,
So how does it work for the MLK charitable organization?
They get a blanket donation.
They just get a,
So does the,
it's my
so does
issue.
the chamber
Hold on.
and the Bears.
This is my issue. I'm going to, Ms. Ivy Q, could you step up because you're on the board? I'm sorry, I just put you out there. I'm sorry, but you're standing there, so you might as well speak unless Ms. Grace want to speak. Thank you.
20 years. 20 years.
I know. Thank you for coming to the meeting. You popped on in late and right on time. Look, that'll teach you to come.
Ivy Q, Dania Beach, what you need from me? Ma'am.
How long have you been on the MLK charitable?
Oh, years.
Okay. Now, let's just speak about, do you know if your board submit receipts or anything to the
I
city?
don't know anything about the money. I just help in this community. I
Okay.
don't touch the money. I don't know where it's going. I asked for invoices and the printouts, and I received a handwritten one.
The same one I saw.
You do? Okay. Yeah.
So this is what we're doing. We're giving them $15,000.
That's what we get too.
And,
We don't touch it.
and we haven't seen a receipt. We haven't seen anything. I received a handwritten report, a bank report, a treasure report, handwritten just to say tablecloths, chairs, this, X amount, X amount, X amount. Now, if the city is going to give out this type of money, it needs to be done exactly how the seniors are done.
Thank you.
If not, I mean, because I requested a treasure report and the correct one that was supposed to be printed, I still haven't received that.
Oh, okay.
I haven't received that. So, and then we have an issue of if it's going to the scholarships, how can you take back that money? Is that something that happened this past time?
I don't know who took it back. It was supposed to be given to Jamar.
It was the
Jamel,
money that was given as a scholarship.
And something went wrong at the school or something. I don't deal with the money, so I don't touch money. I don't know nothing about the money.
Okay.
So I just...
Well, his mother came to me and
Okay.
said that because he didn't raise a certain amount,
Okay.
that the MLK charitable organization called his school and took the money back.
Yes, that's true.
Before, so that is true.
Yes.
And I don't know where this money is going. I haven't seen a receipt. I haven't seen anything. I don't want to give money to any of these city-sponsored, I don't care if it's the Dania Bears. If we can't have checks and balances through Parks and Recreation, I don't want to give a dime. I'm not paying for anyone to go to Jamaica.
I respect that. I went to Jamaica.
Wow.
I know you didn't go to Jamaica. I'm just joking. I don't know who went to Jamaica.
I respect that.
Okay,
If
thank
that's
you.
the rule, that's what it is.
So do we understand the direction that we're asking for Colin and Mark? We're asking for not to give them a blanket check, city manager?
If that's your wish, we could, do you want to change for the Bears also? And
Yes,
the,
yes,
and
let's
the
be
Chamber of
fair.
Commerce?
Across the board, everybody follow the rules. That way, everybody is safe. You
All
can't
right.
say, I took something, they took
Exactly.
something. It's going the way it should be. Okay?
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
No, getting back to the way you handle the seniors, and, I mean, I've been to
I
the
love
seniors
that.
meeting, so you have a list of approved vendors that you always buy your
Yeah.
coffee from or your Danish from, so or when you have a special event like the Chinese restaurant, Hunan Wok, you issue a purchase order to them, and then that's how they get paid in advance. So you have a list of approved vendors, so
Right.
it's kind of like a blanket purchase order.
Mark pays the deposit, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
And then the balance upon delivery.
Yes. Cool.
And then
Okay.
I get a copy of it also, too,
Okay.
so that I
That's-
can play against his figures,
Yeah.
and he's always perfect.
So it's a check and balance.
Okay?
So, as a consensus, does it go to a board?
Parks and Rec.
I never knew people got the money in cash, so you're teaching me something. I really didn't know that.
You better
Can we do it
figure
Parks
out.
and Rec?
2017.
Board?
Well, just the, as far as
Scam
the
likely.
as far as the charitable donation, you could certainly do it to the Parks and Rec Board.
Okay. But the other one, in-house between you.
Everybody
City manager,
agree or
Assistant
disagree?
city manager and
Consensus?
Parks and
That's-
Recreation
Wait,
Director.
he's got to do it all? Every single
No,
organization?
I said three.
Well, I would think,
No, I mean, I think you're talking about anything that's budgeted, was previously was budgeted and they received just a total donation.
Yes.
For programs,
Yes,
that now we'll review the receipts before we issue funds.
thank
to
you
them.
so much.
And everybody agrees?
Thank you.
Yes, yes. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Brandon Martin?
Yes, after that hurricane, I want to commend Bergeron. They're doing a fantastic job.
A great
Even-
job.
I mean, now I really understand what it meant at the League of Cities when they said, if you ever have a major hurricane, those companies want to do business with the people that got the cash. They don't want to do business with somebody that they got to wait on a credit card. And when Bergeron lost some of his people that probably just saw that the grass was greener on the other side, they replaced them twofold, and I got to commend you on Bergeron. So, but that's it.
Commissioner Grace?
I certainly wished I could be that brief, Commish.
Oh, no, don't tell me.
First thing is that, thank God that we weathered the storm.
Yeah.
And to know that everybody is safe. And the city is getting back on track. We've got a lot of stuff that we still have to do, but I really think that the city of Dania Beach has done a fantastic job of picking up and helping our residents. I really love that, especially our seniors. I mean, I've been calling, I said, don't you cite anybody, don't you tell anybody that they got to move these trees. We just took $400 million out of our hurricane reserves. We're going to recoup some of that money, but we're going to make this city even better. And then, I don't normally do this, but Lauren, I really want to thank you for all of your efforts and all of your hard work. And I know that you're a nurse and you have a little boy, but you were out there making sure that everybody that needed something from somebody that you could help was really appreciated. And I don't normally say that, and maybe I should say it more than I have in the past, but I certainly thank you because I know that I look on Facebook and you were there, and I look on Facebook and you were there, and you were running all over the place trying to make sure that everybody had what they needed, especially people that, with medications and so forth. So I really applaud you for that, and I really thank you.
And she had no power herself.
And you had no power. The chicken just told me you had no power. Now, long as we're talking about that, this city is doing well, but the Keys is not doing well. So I have my mailman, John Sanovia, who was my mailman for many years. He's always going to be my mailman. He is also a member of Lighthouse Community Church, and we would like to do something for the people in the Keys. So I have really taken the lead, and along with John, to ask as many of our residents in the city of Dania Beach, if you have leftover water, canned goods, paper towel, whatever, toothbrushes, toothpaste, whatever you have, if you can gather that stuff up. And John, would it be inappropriate for me to ask them to drop it off at your church?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Community Baptist Church, Lighthouse Community Church on Federal Highway, so that 650 Federal Highway, so we can get those supplies down to the Keys. Everybody is trying to help. I think we being the oldest city in Broward County, we've definitely got to do it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to do it. So, do we have I give out your phone number?
Yes.
Okay, can you give that to me now? 954? 923? 8660.
You're brave,
Okay?
John.
Okay, that's John, okay? Zenovia, okay?
You're smart, John.
With the D, Zovia. I'm not Italian, so I'm messing it up, but you know.
We'll
Okay.
forgive you for not
Yes,
being
but
Italian.
please, I know that we have extra water and stuff at my house, and so I'm going to pull everything together, and I'm going to call John, and I know he'll come and pick it up. But I'm asking every resident of the city of Dania Beach, whether you're in this audience, whether you're listening to us on TV, or whether or not you can pass it on to your neighbors and your communities, please, 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 let's make this a unity thing in the city of Dania Beach. I really hope that we'll be able to do that as soon as possible. The more supplies that we get together, the more they need. Now, the Lions Club, we just did it for, is it Lehigh?
Acres.
Lehigh Acres, that's over by Naples, because our District 31N put us a whole lot of supplies together, and we collected a whole lot of stuff, so I'm going to reach out to them too. So please, I mean, people are hurting, and we've got air, we've got food. I'm going to Tropical Acres this weekend for my birthday, so you know, it's all going to be good, you know, so let's help somebody else. On a sad note, I want to give my condolences to the James Love family, to the Clark family, to the Franklin family, to the Ivory family, and to the Johnson family. All of those families have lost loved ones this week. This is very sad, but you know, it happens. I just got back on Monday from visiting my dad, who had a major, massive stroke, blood on the brain. Dad's 91. But we got to think of the good times that we have with people, and we know that when you're born, you're going to have to die. But some of these people, and I left off one family, the Knight family. The Knight family is one of the oldest families that used to be in the city of Dania Beach. Martha Knight died. She was in the class of 1966 addicts. So please, just keep them in your prayers, because all these families are going through some really hard times right now. Last thing I want to tell you about is Pat Jones. If you can remember, and I know that my city attorney and my city manager can remember, the people who bought Frank West's property and cleaned it up, she is an awesome young lady, her and her husband. They are opening up what you call Dorothy's House in West Park. Dorothy's House is a house that is going to be given to a single mom and her children, rent-free, electric-free, food-free for 1 year.
Can I put my name on the list?
For 1 year. And then she is going to try and do something, tear down that house on West property and build another house so she can have one in Dania Beach. I think that is just awesome. Her event is going to be on October 15th in West Park at the VFW. It is a fundraiser for her. It's a 501c3. The tickets are $40 a person. If you can't go, please give her a donation. She comes to just about everything that we ask her to in the city of Dania Beach. She's very community-minded. She was partnering up with me for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month that's going to be next month. My ladies from the estates, I need you again, October 26th, if it's approved by the city of Dania Beach, that we have it in the atrium again, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You know what I need. I need my sandwiches. Thank you so much. And I just want you to know that it's happy to be home, but it's sad at the same time. I'm very close to Dad. I'm the firstborn. I lost my mom a couple of years ago, and I know it's going to happen. And that's all I got to say.
Commissioner Salvino?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I just wanted to, maybe first of all, I want to thank the Public Works. They did a great job out there. I'm watching them go up and down the streets, and they're working very hard. Just to tag on that a little bit, though, maybe if anybody's listening, you need to please separate your trash so they can finish their job. Take the plastic bags and any obstacles or hardcore stuff out of there and just leave the brush so they can get it picked up. It'll make it a lot quicker for us. I noticed that the neighborhoods, the trucks are going through and they're trying to help out the best they can and pick the stuff apart, but it would be a lot quicker for us if we could do that. And on a sad note, I'm sure everybody saw the news. I lost a good friend this week. He got murdered in West Park trying to help a gentleman out and got shot in the chest twice for just telling the guy to let the guy mow the yard. But I went to the funeral today, and it was very sad to see that. But I had to get it off my chest a little bit because he is a good friend of mine, and just the senseless murders today that we have is not good. But that's all, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. The reason that I mentioned the need for a housing in Dania Beach today, I was out behind my building today, and I saw these two guys huddled under an umbrella, and I said, what the hell are they doing? They were flying a drone over Dania Place and that whole area over there, trying to map the area out for maybe future development and what could be, because we've talked about that before, and it was just so interesting the way that they approached. First of all, they shouldn't have been flying a drone so close to the airport, so that's why I went out there in the first place. But they said that, that Dania Place is now the place that all other future development will be gauged on, because they're at 60% occupancy now, and there's only 2 twos left. This is what these guys told me, so, I'll follow up that conversation with you, because it was interesting what they were doing and how they, managed the drone. I've never, I said, and this thing was it was like a mosquito up there, it was like that, and it was so cool. But,
Mosquito.
yeah, it was that big and had a camera on it. But, yeah, big ones. And, Public Works, Brad, thanks a lot for always calling me back and taking care of. There's been a lot of, emails and just a lot of issues with trees down. But, we have to, go through this bad hurricane, post-Irma stuff. But, there's a lot of other stuff that we have our eyes on. And I'm just going to mention them. We don't really need to talk about it. But I know I talked to Mark about the surplus properties because I have somebody that's interested in those. The bus stops have taken a beating lately because I don't know if they're overused. So we got to, get our eyes back on that. The sober homes, was there a resolution on that for Lake Worth?
No, it's Delray Beach is in court, on federal court.
Okay.
All the cities are waiting to see how they fare.
The traffic light on Bryan Road at Northwest First, I don't want to lose sight of a lot of things that we've talked about before because of Irma. So, we can bring all this up. The class and pay study, the new budget, the entrance signs by the airport. There's just a lot of issues that we don't need to take our eye off the ball to, be distracted by Irma, but everybody's doing the best that they can with that. And I appreciate everybody's hard work. And, the day after the hurricane, Bob and I were driving around Southeast Dania and other places, and people were very grateful that they, that they were out, cleaning up their yards, and for the most part, very respectful and happy to see somebody. And, after I closed the Harris Hotel, and, didn't have time to wash the sheets, so I just turned them over. And, no, that was just a joke. That was a joke.
Oh, no, it's the truth in every joke.
I had a house full of people, everybody pitched in, still had to go to work every day, and then one night I thought I had the flu, and I went to the urgent care, and they said, you got pneumonia, so then I had a couple of days
Should have washed
where...
them sheets.
No, that's, so, but, it's a difficult time, but I appreciate everybody's hard work, so, everybody's. It's been a hard one. Thank you.
That's it. All right. I guess since we're all still talking about Irma, I can talk about Irma as well. I don't know if I publicly thanked SEMA from the Red Line Media Marketing Group for giving ice to those post Irma that still did not have power. He had someone follow me in a van that had coolers in it, and my lovely parents decided that they didn't want me to go alone because it was getting dark, and we knocked on residents' doors and asked who had power, who didn't have power, and we gave out ice in the southwest section because I believe they were the people that did not have the most power, or the most amount of people that did not have power. Also wanted to thank Master Developers and Bob Shapiro for his donation for the hot box lunches that Commissioner Brandon Marty and her crew, if she can name them, and Lauren, Mario, Tony, and Betty. Listen, this was an older crew, and they were walking those stairs at these condos. I'm very appreciative of in times where we all have our own needs, especially people that did not have power of their own, to continuously give back to the community. It's very, very important. It's not enough. We need more people and residents and humanity like that here in the United States. So I wanted to make sure I thank those few people. I really think that this commission needs to decide what we're going to do with City Hall. There's always discussion back and forth with these plans, and someone else come to an RFQ and all these other things, and 10 years are going to go by and we're going to be still sitting, someone else is still going to be sitting here, and nothing's going to be done. We're going to have to make a decision, and we're going to have to stick to it, and because it was really unsafe that our first responders and our city staff, along with IT and stuff, was here during that storm and thinking that the roof was going to fall off, or our first responders climbing up just trying to stop leaks, or how about the second part of City Hall, or the second floor of City Hall being hurricane-proof and the first half isn't. It just really doesn't make sense to me. And so this is, you say what?
I said it doesn't make sense. It never makes sense to me.
And so this is something that I think that we really need to take a hard look at as a commission and make a decision. I mean, it's 5 different opinions up here, I understand it, but the majority of us need to make a decision on doing something. Whatever that something is open to interpretation. I want to speak on the FEMA and what's going on with the debris removal. And I know that there were a lot of contractors that we had that they left. Did they leave and go to Miami?
Around Broward especially, they left.
Do we have any in the city of Dania that did that?
No, Bergeron performed, and every city that, as far as I know, that he's been contracted with, he's performed for.
Okay, because I was going to ask to get a list of those contractors and put them on a do not hire ever again list. I think that all cities should do that, because you don't leave your cities like that in a time of need like that. And so, okay, I'm glad we don't have that problem. I wanted again to I wanted to speak on right now, because we have a lot of debris cleanup and a lot of removal, and we do have some damages that are done to people's properties and businesses. I want us to have a little bit of leniency on our residents. I had a business owner call me and said that I had that resident that called and said that they tried to make her chop up the trees that was pushed onto her property. I had another business owner that called and said that code was coming around with a piece of paper. A piece of paper or a checklist.
That's true. That's a flyer that tells people not to commingle their debris and that.
Well, no, this one was telling them they needed to push their trees up and put them with some type of, this is what was told to the resident. It was shenanigans. It was the guy from Shenanigans, and he was a bit upset. He was like, we're just trying to get back to order. The whole city is in disarray, and, you have people coming and not being compassionate. So I just want to ask the city to have compassion and a little bit of leniency while people are trying to get their lives back on track. And lastly, I saw a Sun Sentinel article, and I wanted to address it because I was very disappointed, and that we had someone on this commission, Commissioner Salvino, that spoke out about it wasn't the right thing to do to have a commission meeting after the storm, post Irma. And whereas I really understand that we did get hit by Hurricane Irma, but we were not Houston. And we did get hit by Hurricane Irma, but our employees worked throughout Hurricane Irma, worked after Hurricane Irma. We did get hit by Hurricane Irma, but our employees were back at City Hall working with whatever resources we had. And to ask this commission to take an hour out of their schedule at night to come and conduct city business and to further the city, and to have a commissioner go and speak to a news article, a news journalist who published an article saying, I guess it's not illegal. However, it left a bad taste in my mouth because we're a team. And I don't feel like that's operating as a team operates, to say we could have been helping residents. Well, I'm not sure if you know what I was doing, but I surely was helping residents before, during, and after. And I'm sure a lot of the rest of us up here was doing that as well. 24/7. Thank you. Thank you. And so I wasn't available for comment, no, because I gave residents my personal cell phone number that's listed on the city's website. And I can guarantee you, if you guys go pull up phone bills, no one's phone was popping like mine. I can guarantee you I had over 50 voicemails a day. I got cursed out over 50 times a day.
I got cursed out too.
But I took that as a leader of this team. And I'm just, that was disrespectful. And I am disappointed to say that we could have been helping residents. Well, I was helping residents. And, I can't speak for what anyone else was doing, but I know Commissioner Brandemeier was helping residents. I know Commissioner Grace was helping residents, and I know Vice Mayor Bill Harris was helping residents. I also know that this city wasn't the only city to conduct commission meetings, because guess what? I did my research. There are a number of cities that still conducted their budget meetings and their commission meetings the same week that we conducted ours, the same night that we conducted ours. Now, I'm not sure what positivity that was supposed to bring to the city, but it didn't bring any. It brought negative press to the city of Dania Beach, where we're trying to rebrand and get out of these little negative, dirty politics. I know that it's election season, so people are going to pull out stunts and do whatever they have to do, but you're barking up the wrong tree. And I can guarantee you, if we're not going to work as a team, trust me, I can score 50 by myself as well.
Am I going to be able to rebut to that, Mayor?
Score 50. It was basketball terms, Commissioner Brandemeier.
You didn't play, huh?
Mayor, am I going to be allowed to rebut to that?
Well, these are my comments.
Yeah, well, I'm asking for your time.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think that you think that you're the leader. I am. Okay, and that's great. I'm sure you are.
There's no thinking. I am.
That's what the mayor is. I didn't interrupt you, Mayor. I'd like to just speak, please. And everybody, each one of us commissioners up here are leaders in our own direction. You have no idea what I was doing, who I was helping, how many houses I was boarding up, how many trees I was cutting down.
On your properties or the rest of the city?
No, these are residents. And then on top of that all, I had shutters that I don't use, and I was giving them out to people, and I was boarding up people's houses. If you'd like me to bring people in here to state this, I would do this for you, Mayor, but I don't need to have to prove to establish the things that I do in the community. I've been dealing with this community longer than you have, and I give a lot back to this community. And as far as giving stuff away, I constantly help these people out that were needed it. I was giving water out the back of my restaurant. I fed a few homeless people out the back of there. It didn't stop, but I don't have to explain myself because I wasn't in your area of doing what you were doing.
It's not my area. It's what the city was doing as a city.
You don't think the residents, then I had calls from the residents that they didn't think it was very fair. They didn't have any electric, that they couldn't see the meetings. They couldn't get to the meetings. They didn't know there was a meeting. They thought.
Well, I didn't get one phone call. The only person that got it is one person that got a phone call after we had a vote.
You liar? Is that what you're doing? Telling me that I don't get these calls? You think that I wasn't here because
what I'm telling you is that you're elected to do a job.
I think if you want to talk about divide, right now the leadership doesn't do this.
What leadership are you looking at?
I'm looking at plenty more than you're looking at.
What leadership are you looking at?
Okay, well, you can go ahead
Well, we're
and
not
boost
going to
yourself
go
all
bat
you
for
want.
bat. At
Well,
the
you
end of
did
the
already.
day,
You
okay,
started it,
reclaiming my
and I can't
time.
believe- and I
I'm
cannot
gonna.
believe how rude you
All
are
right.
in breaking
All
this
right,
up.
I'm going to reclaim my time.
Yeah, well, you
Because
got
I'm going to
your time.
reclaim my. I'm going to reclaim my time.
I'll follow up at a different day.
I'm going to reclaim my time. Thank you. At the end of the day, we are elected to serve the city of Dania Beach, regardless of whatever we have going on at our house, at our rental properties, at our businesses. You're elected by the people to serve, and that's what we came to the meeting to do. And I feel like, under my comments, I feel like that was disrespectful to this commission.
Well, I think you're being disrespectful.
I feel like that was disrespectful to this commission to go to a news reporter and to give this city bad press.
That article was not that bad. It was an
Appointments,
opinion. I thought
advisory
they were
boards,
entitled to
Commissioner
opinions.
Salvino.
Tom, could you call for a vote on the absentee, by the way? I'd like to have that on record, whether I'm excused or not excused on my absence.
Go ahead, Tom.
Was a request for that done, or?
Well, I'm requesting it because I don't want to come up with a different date.
You can do it. It's been retroactive before.
Okay. Do it before or after the meeting?
It could be done now if you chose to do it.
I choose to do that
We've done
now.
that before. You can request an excused absence.
I make a motion that we accept this absentees from the meeting.
And I second it.
She's writing. I'm going to call the roll. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Because of the circumstances, I absolutely say yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yeah, yes.
Mayor James?
This still don't change how I feel. I'm going to excuse your absence. It was still disrespectful. Yes.
Matter of
Thank you.
opinion.
You
Thank
made
you.
your point, and that was good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appointments, Airport Advisory Board. Commissioner Savina, do you have
I'm
an
not
appointment?
prepared, Mayor. I'll have it for you next meeting.
Vice Mayor?
I got an email today from Linda Barber for the Airport Advisory Board. Louise and I will, yes, I got an email, so I'll give you the rest of her information and her phone number.
The Green Advisory Board, do we have an alternate position? Okay. Do we have a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Yep. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Administrative reports, City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Vice Mayor, we had our projects team meeting Friday, and I just want to assure you all, we are, moving forward with the things that have been kind of off track, and I'll submit a report to you so you can see where we are with each of these different projects that we're working on. But we are making progress, and you're right, the hurricane has caused a lot of work for us. We project there's about 200,000 cubic yards, maybe more, of debris out there. I've talked to most of you, it's frustrating. You go out and see where we've been, and there's vegetation's already been put back. It's understandable because residents hadn't had time to move things out to the right-of-way. So we'll make probably 2 or 3 passes, probably 3 over time. And we think it'll be a minimum of 60 days before it's taken care of. We've already moved about 19,000 cubic yards citywide. And I don't want to keep congratulating or thanking Mr. Bergeron, but his company has done a great job. We've had, I think I've called you all or sent you texts. Every day we've had close to 15 trucks out there.
Yes.
For a city our size, between 12 and 15 trucks is a lot of trucks under the circumstances, especially with all these subcontractors, everything, trying to move to people who will pay more. And he's honoring our price of about $8.50 per cubic yard, which some day cities are going to like $18, $20.
Were we able to get out to 40th, Brad? So all of the sidewalks are clear?
Yes, we're going to.
Okay. Okay.
Just wanted to report the Waste Management is going to put a truck or 2 out here and start trying to work on bulk pickup. just what Commissioner Salvino has said. We want the residents, please separate your vegetation from your construction debris, and you shouldn't be putting out any bulk, because bulk, it's not time to pick up bulk. We need to get the debris, and the contractor won't pick up the vegetation if it's commingled with any other kind of material, so please separate that. So we're doing our best, we're making progress on it, and I say that's really all I have to report. Thank you.
Nothing to add.
City Clerk?
Reminders. This Friday, September 29th at 10 a.m. is the Dania Beach CRA Arts and Seafood Celebration Planning Meeting. I believe all the commissioners have been invited to that meeting. It's in the Northwest Conference Room. Tuesday, October 3rd at 10 a.m. will be the interviews for the CRA Executive Director position. Tuesday, October 10th at 6 p.m. will be a CRA Board meeting, followed by a 7 p.m. City Commission meeting, and that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
All right, meeting adjourned.
It's my birthday, I might sleep in.